You know, Manny Pacquiao is a legend in the sport. He's a Hall of Famer. And for me to end his legacy is the start of mine.
Drama, knockouts, and the big upset. After a huge kickstart to another lively month of boxing, we go again.
Thank you so much. This fight is done.
This time, to a man who defied similar odds time and time again throughout a gleaming career. One of the sport's most humble, respected figures, and one of the most devastating and exciting of his generation. An underdog story personified, Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao.
Pacquiao's beginning to land with almost every punch.
Back in the firing line, contending with a young, hungry, and dangerous champion, Keith one-time Thurman.
Thurman rocks him with that left.
A man who returned from his own stint of inactivity in January, a week before Pacquiao stunned another loud, outspoken American.
Great right hand by Thurman right there. He's not giving up.
And whilst we didn't see the same slick, powerful performance, we saw him back in the limelight, ready to take on the best.
Maybe Brooklyn, maybe Vegas, wherever Manny Pacquiao wants it, I'd fight him in the Philippines if I had to, baby.
Though straight back in at the deep end, against someone like Pacquiao, could be disastrous.
Could turn into a systematic beating unless the champion can turn things around.
And whilst we should be saying Thurman has caught Manny at the right time, with a diminishing knockout record and potential ring rust, it could even be the other way around. A Filipino legend against an unbeaten power puncher. Everything about the July matchup spells drama. The stage, the styles, and the circumstances. Winner takes all, Paquiao versus Thurman. Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
I'm hoping na kung ano yung ano ng bunganga niya sa labas ng ring, dapat ganun din yung action niya sa taas ng ring.
In what will now be his 71st bout, Manny Pacquiao just keeps on proving people wrong. And taking another valiant risk at such a late stage of his career just shows what a caliber of fighter he is, and what a standard of fighter he was. With historic wins over Hall of Fame fighters, Pacquiao was 50 fights into his career when Thurman had just turned professional. And even then, he was just getting warmed up, becoming boxing's first 8-division world champion 3 years later.
Now winner of his 8th world championship, the fighting pride of Sarangani Province, Philippines.
Now 40 years old, he finds himself working back through the rankings one last time, stopping Matisse last year, then outclassing Broner in January.
Oh, wow. Counter left hand by Paquiao.
And even more surprisingly, where Garcia, even Maidana, fell onto the back foot against Broner in the late rounds, Manny continued to stalk the Cincinnati fighter right to the final bell.
His return to America should be a victorious one for the living legend.
Hanging on to his speed, power, and footwork, it's increasingly unclear where the journey ends for the Filipino. And right now, he vows to silence another brash opponent on his way back to the top. Something which, in such a stacked welterweight division, is no mean feat.
So thankful of what he said, because it gave me more motivation to prove that at age of 40, I feel like 29.
That short a lot, but he still needs maybe at least 2 fights before anything that big. I think right now, if it happened now, I think Paquiao wins.
The technician in his corner and Freddie Roach. And so I think that, they'll be able to figure out what they need to do to get a win over Keith Thurman.
Though, having never avoided facing the best or the most dangerous, July 20th is no exception.
Still there. His ability to see and to pull the trigger and to react, which is what usually goes first in the other guys, is still there. That makes him an incredibly dangerous guy, even for the top welterweights now.
No, this is what I live for.
Thurman, on the other hand, has a very different approach to the matchup.
Because Keith, one-time Thurman, does not just beat Manny Pacquiao, does knock out Manny Pacquiao.
Keith one-time Thurman remains unbeaten.
After a seemingly hopeless 2 years out with hand and elbow injuries, he looks to get back on track. And whilst the question marks remain, now more than ever, the threat he poses is very real.
Thurman has punching power that will keep Paquiao honest. Thurman is smart. He got good speed. He's bigger than Paquiao. He'll be able to bully him in the inside.
Proving himself as a top welterweight over the years, his resume remains one of the best in the division, with wins over Guerrero, Porter, and putting the first loss on Danny Garcia's record.
Unified welterweight champion of the world, Keith Thurman.
He also possesses 22 knockouts on a 30-fight resume, with 16 ending inside 3 rounds.
And this fight is over. Keith, one-time.
This city, Brooklyn, right here, baby. Thank you guys for coming out. The champ is back.
Though, never short of a word or two, he claimed he will retire Paquiao once and for all.
Some of the comments that I heard him say yesterday about ending Manny Pacquiao's career, he got that up. That's right. All the way.
Boxing is a beautiful sport. Of course, I have all the intentions to hurt him, but it's truly out of respect.
Claiming he would do to the Filipino what Manny did to De La Hoya 10 years ago.
There is a big swelling outside the left eye of Oscar De La Hoya. Hard shots. Manny Pacquiao is annihilating Oscar De La Hoya.
However, now on a 6-fight dry streak, a knockout would be a statement like no other. Backing up his one-time moniker and putting a W next to the biggest name available.
He got the rust off, and then he gonna come back. This the youth gonna come in. The youth gonna come in. Man, he gonna get old that way.
So whilst the Florida fighter didn't make the impact he wanted in his January return, the July baptism of fire will prove where he really stands.
Pacquiao jumps in, and he jumps in to commit, and it only takes that one moment to catch him trying to commit with me. I commit with him, and then we go home early.
The most interesting thing in the lead-up to the bout is that both fighters have the tools to win. And where the American would have stood a clear favorite, his last outing makes it a much closer call.
Oh, he's got him off balance. And Lopez hammering away. He hurt Thurman with a left hook in the right.
Thurman possesses all the advantages, on paper at least. 10 years younger, he is the much bigger and longer reaching of the two. In fact, the only thing working against him would be experience.
I've been in this sport more than 2 decades, and no one can intimidate me.
Though, with an astounding amateur record of his own, even the experience card begins to look less daunting. But as mentioned, this has been the case for a long time, for the man considered the pride of the Philippines.
Are you excited?
And using the benefits of his speed, agility, and footwork, it will simply be a case of what he has left in the tank. After all, Father Time is undefeated, but he is much kinder to some than others. In what could be a similar display to the Pacquiao-Broner fight, but with a more powerful and spiteful puncher, much more willing to let his hands go, something which, come the middle rounds, could really start to heat up.
What happened to a Pacquiao hit you with that speed and power? Things change, we all know that. They've all said it before. When Manny will hit Thurman, Thurman will run, try and box.
However, if the American fails to land anything substantial early on, he may find himself getting hit at will. A place against Manny that no fighter wants to be in.
Oh, he got hit flush.
In a fantastic clash of styles, it will come down to which fighter plays aggressor, and whether youth outworks age, whether power outweighs speed, or whether hunger outshines experience. Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao versus Keith One-Time Thurman. Soup has been at the pinnacle of the culinary world for centuries. A simple concoction, good for the body, and by most commentators' accounts, good for the soul. But a controversy rages amongst fans of the savory science. Which is better, hot or cold? One common ingredient, two very different styles. Tomato versus gazpacho on the next Motivedia presentation.